Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. My name is John Stapleton, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of names, the theology behind names, the intent behind names, the importance behind names, and we're going to do that by looking at John the Baptist. I have this quote in my book. It's based off of Luke chapter 1, verses 56 through 66. Here's what I say. 8 days later, the house was 8 days later the house filled once more. This time with relatives eager to join in the child's circumcision and naming. Tradition remained influential, and it was customary for the boy to be named after his father. One uncle proudly declared, "So he will be little Zachariah." Another relative nodded, "A son should carry his father's name." Elizabeth looked at her baby and then raised her gaze with calm resolve. "No," she said, "his name is John." The room went silent. "John?" a cousin asked, confused. "But no one in your family carries that name." Elizabeth offered a small, knowing smile. "His name is John." The relatives looked at Zachariah, thinking Elizabeth was wrong. "What do you say?" one of them asked, gesturing toward him to try to help. "You will surely choose your own name for your son." Zachariah asked for the writing tablet. Everyone watched as he took the stylus and unexpectedly wrote with steady hands, carefully, legibly, and purposefully. "His name is John." And if you want to read more, that's in chapter 3 of the book Jesus, adapted from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, available on stapletonbooks.com in the print and ebook editions. I am working on the audiobook that is still underway. But for today, I just want to talk to you about names. Names are part of a greater story. I remember last year I was going through the unpleasant experience of trying to pick out a name for my son. It's a daunting task. It's a very hard thing to do because you have all these basic names like Mike, David, you know, Dan, and if you listen, if you're any of those people, if you have any of those names, um, I mean no smoke. I don't mean any problems by that. I'm just saying I know 12 other people who easily have your name, and your parents took the easy route because it was safe. And then you got names like Maverick, right? And it's like, I, you got to have a certain kind of character to have a strong, eccentric, unique name like that. Can't just be naming your kid, Maverick, and he eats crayons and he's by himself, and looks like a loser. Like you just don't want to do that. So, so, uh, so, i- in the end, I hope that you're picking a name that speaks destiny over your child, that reflects what you want that child to have, uh, what you want that child to embody, what you want to happen in their life, and so there are different names from different parts of the world, and a lot of the names mean the same things from culture to culture. It's just every culture has a version of what the name is. What name is for beautiful, or what name is for courageous, or what name is for thoughtful. Whatever the name happens to be, and so that's part of a story, right? These names are parts of the cultural zeitgeist, parts of the culture that name is taken from. And in my experience, some of the most thoughtful names are taken from the Bible. They're taken from the Hebrew scriptures. They're taken from like we still use names like Jacob and James and John and Joseph and Mary, and the reason why we do is because these names mean something. These names declare something. I ended up calling my son Elijah Michael Stapleton. Um, I, I don't know. Ask his mom why his name is Michael. I think we named him after my father-in-law. That's why. Um, but I picked the name Elijah because Elijah means Yahweh is God. it's very interesting that anytime someone says his name, that's what they're declaring, despite the fact that they may or may not believe that Yahweh is God. It's still a declaration. It's still a plug from the biblical story. And so that's what I wanted my son to know, and that's what I wanted everybody who spoke his name to declare. And that's why I named my son Elijah. Now, names, they're important because they carry memory, they carry identity, they carry theology, they carry hope, they carry destiny, they carry family legacy. And so, again, we're talking about the Bible. Here are some biblical examples. Names mean something. Isaac means laughter. Jacob means grasping or supplanting. He's the heel grabber. He's the trickster. Samuel means heard by God. Ichabod means the glory has departed. Jesus means Yahweh saves. And so, and so the key insight is that a biblical name often functioned like a theological statement to the world. So here's why John matters. John means God or Yahweh is gracious. Um, and here's what I want you to see about his name in the context of the story. God named the child before the family did. This is so weird because I mean, especially after naming my child, I'm like, God is naming the child. Um God is directly telling them, "Hey, you guys don't get a vote. This is the name of the child. This is the destiny of the child. This child has purpose and his name reflects that. And so he's not going to be part of the priesthood. He's not going to be little Zachariah. He's going to be John. And this signifies that John is going to have a different mission than the priesthood. He's going to function as a priest in another sense. A priest is someone who connects people to God. And so John is going to function in a similar way, but he's not going to be part of the priesthood as he does it. He's going to be a prophet unto God in the wilderness, that voice in the wilderness. And this name fits the story of unconventional just things not happening the way they normally do. Because listen, I mean, Zachariah and Elizabeth were old when they had him. Centuries of prophetic silence preceded John's birth. There was like 400 years where God did not send a prophet. Israel was waiting for redemption, and grace was arriving before the Messiah's public ministry. And so the main idea that I want to draw here is that John's very name announces the coming grace of God. This is a new day. God's doing something new. God is doing a new work, and John is the first prophet in 400 years to usher in God's message, mainly that He's here, that the Messiah has come. It's very interesting if you think about biblical history. There is the prophet Malachi. Malachi is the last prophet in our Bible, in our Protestant Bible, not necessarily in the Tanakh, in the Jewish Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, but he is the last prophet in our Old Testament, and the last words of 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 Malachi says, "Hey, I'm going to send my prophet ahead of you, and I'm going to send my messenger ahead of you, and he's going to enter the temple. The Lord you seek will enter the temple." Actually, I feel like I'm butchering this. Let me just read it to you so that because I know someone who knows the Bible, they'll be like, "Why does he have to do that?" Um, Malachi chapter 3, verse 4. Sorry. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. See, I am going to send my messenger, and he will clear the way before me. Then the Lord you seek will suddenly come to his temple, the messenger of the covenant you delight in. See, he is coming, says the Lord of armies. So that's John. John is the messenger, and the Lord who will be in his temple is Jesus. It's really interesting if you think about being a biblical Jew. This is often focused on two pillars, right? Torah observance and temple worship, or going to temple and Torah observance. Well, the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, and so God needed to come. The Lord needed to come before 70 AD. That fits the time of Jesus. Now, there's some theological tension with this name because human expectation often tries to define identity. Um, but God sometimes interrupts our plans for his purpose. In fact, that's what he does all the time. And so um, here is where I want to kind of here's where I want to end this episode. It's a little bit of a short one, but I just wanted to be direct today. Um, you know, there are so many variables in the outside world that's trying to define us. Culture is trying to define us. Our family's trying to define us. Our church trying to define us. The people we love trying to define us. The people we hate, or sorry, the people that hate us, they're trying to define us. Everybody who has a voice, everybody who has an opinion, which is everybody, has some idea of what you should be. And the only person that you need to be listening to is God. God is the one who is with us from the beginning of our life to the end of our life. God is the only one who sees us, knows us more intimately than anybody else, period. And so he alone gets to tell us who we are. He alone gets to shape us. In fact, he is shaping us. He alone is the one who gave us our identity and is giving us our purpose and is the one that is with us our entire lives. And so we really need to be living for an audience of one because at the end of our life we're going to die and we're going to give account to this God and he's going to ask us, "Hey, what did I do? What did you do with the resources I gave you, and the talents I gave you, and the treasure I gave you, and the time I gave you, and the people I gave you, and the opportunities I gave you?" And and we should have an answer. We should we should say, obviously I didn't do everything right, but one thing I did do was living to please you and making the most out of everything that you've given me. And, this is all tied to name. This is all tied to legacy. This is not, some of you think that your lives are just too arbitrary, that you come from nowhere, you are from nothing. And I just want to say you have been given a life, a purpose, and a name. In fact, it's really interesting. At the end of the Bible, there's this book called Revelation. And in Revelation, it talks about how people who make it to heaven, they're going to be given this, this this name that no one knows except Jesus and the person who receives it. This name, this identity, right? Um, what I'm trying to get at is that your life is not random, your life is not a mistake, and your life is not arbitrary. You have a name, which means you have purpose. And I always say this: in order to know who you are, you need to know who God is. And when you know who God is, you know who you are. And when you know who you are, you know what you need to do. So that's what I want to leave you with today. Um, yeah, that's what I want to leave you with today. I have some notes, but I think this is good. Um, just so you know, again, the book is out. It is published. It is available for sale at stapletonbooks.com. It's available in the ebook and the audiobook format, and I am currently working to publish the audiobook, get it out there. I have finished the recording. I've finished the editing of the audiobook actually, and so I'm very close to getting it out to you pretty soon. And until next time, God bless you. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week.